Morning, everybody. This is Dee Reinhardt with Illinois WorkNet. Hope your Friday is wonderful. I just realized today is 9/9. That's my grandson's favorite number. We're going to get started today, so if you haven't already taken the opportunity to check in by region, please do that. We've got 37 people on the call that have checked in, and only about 20 people have actually checked in by region. So please mark the pod with what region you are from. If there's any issues that you'd like to discuss, please check those boxes in the area below the check-in pod. And then what we're going to do today is have a discussion about some things that are on that agenda there on the right-hand side of the screen. So I'm going to, do we want to do the dashboard first? Olivia, do you want to pop open your screen and share that? We'll go over the dashboard items first.
Let me get it pulled up real quick. Okay. All righty. Okay. So for the dashboard, everything's looking pretty good. There's just a couple areas that I would like you guys to go in and look in your dashboards and see if you have any numbers in these areas. This is all of the state of Illinois' numbers, so your numbers will be a lot different. The big one is the customer profile information needs finished. We have 5 customers in there. I tried to include case notes on the customers that needed some information put in. I know there was like 1 or 2 who had just attended their orientation that day, so maybe you need to wait till they come back in or something to get their win. But there was, I think, 3 that have been in the system for a while and need that information updated. So if you could go in and check and see if you have anybody in there, that would be great. And then we also have ready for review by DHS caseworker. We still have 27 people in there. A lot of these people are from April, May, and have not been marked as declined to participate or not SNAP eligible. If the customer is no longer moving through the EPIC process, they need to be marked as either declined to participate, or if they're no longer SNAP eligible, they need to be marked as that because they can't just be sitting in here or that'll really throw our numbers off. So I really need everybody to go in and make sure all the old customers are either moved to a red or green location and not just sitting in yellow. And the same with needs to be scheduled for consent. We have even more people in here, and a lot of these people have done eligibility review but not been randomly assigned. On that eligibility review page, there is a section where you can mark if they declined to participate or if they're no longer eligible. So if you're called them back and say, okay, come in for random assignment, and they're not getting back with you, or they're like, no, I don't want to participate anymore, then they need to be marked as not declined to participate and not just sit here kind of in limbo. Those are the 2 main areas, the ready for review and missed consent or needs to be scheduled for consent, that I would like you guys to follow up with. And then also, there's only 5 customers and not assigned to a CBO. But for the customers that have went through eligibility review and been put in EPIS, they do need to be assigned to that CBO. This number should be 0. We shouldn't have people in the EPIS group and not assigned to a CBO. I do know a couple of them have just went through random assignment. Maybe you're getting ready to assign them to a CBO at their follow-up appointment, but if you could just go in and check and make sure we are assigning them in the random assignment tab and not just kind of moving forward from there. Does anybody have any questions on any of those areas of the dashboard?
Olivia, I would like to point out that on that not assigned to CBO, those are sometimes situations where there was an error with number or information entered into EPIS, and so the sync process didn't happen. So they need to call the customer back to do the actual assignment to the CBO, but that's one of those things that we don't want to forget to get that accomplished.
Yeah. If they're coming back for a follow-up, I completely understand that they're in there. So I'm sure I know there are a couple in there like that. So that's okay. That's a good reason for them to be there.
All right. Do we have any questions from the participants on the call today about the dashboard, especially with some of you that are newer to the system? And if that's me fading in and out, I apologize because I'm not at my desk today. I'm at a conference, on a conference call here at a different office. So I don't see any other questions. And so let's minimize your screen there, Olivia, and we will move on with our agenda now. Okay. Oh, Leslie has. We've got a couple of questions. So Marquise says, moving customers from yellow to green or red is specifically regarding ready for review and the consent areas. What we need to do is we need to get them out of the yellow. The yellow means you need to take some action of some kind so that if they need to be, scroll up on your screen just a little bit, Olivia. So in the top where it says ready for review by DHS caseworker, there's 27 people in that list. We need to figure out what's going on with them. Are they people that never came back for a follow-up appointment? If so, then we need to move them into like declines to participate at this time. If they're up in the top where it's application not started, we need to do something with those people to find out whether or not they're going to proceed or not. And if they're in a mandatory area, we need to definitely follow through with the conciliation process, especially if they've never come back for a follow-up appointment. What's going on with them? So these are all, the yellow areas are the ones where we really need to pay attention to and just do something with that profile to move them either into green or into red. And then Leslie asked, we have someone who is showing as still referral pending and he has already been assigned to the CBO. What do we need to mark to clear this? Leslie, let's talk with you after the webinar. Olivia, can you follow up with Leslie specifically, please?
I sure can.
The yellow area I have customers in is missed orientation. Yes, you can re-invite all those people, and if you want to re-invite by specific dates, you can go back and re-invite them, and that will move them through the process. If you know that they're never going to show up, then you can move them by saying not interested at this time. Does that answer your question, Marquise? All right. If you need help with that, send me a message and we'll do a little bit of follow-up on a phone call. Okay. I see Leslie typing. Okay. Can we? Yes, you can. Olivia, click on one of those missed orientation in your list there. Oh, are you live?
Yeah. Let me go into test really quick.
Okay. So what you can do is you can actually click on your missed orientation list and find a person and click on their profile, and then go into the Intake to Activities tab to change the orientation date. So if you don't want to invite an entire group, then Olivia is clicking on a profile of one person, and she goes to the Intake Activities, and she just changes the date right there. So you would have to send a 1721 to that person. What we are working on trying to get fixed on this is the ability for you to be able to pick a morning or an afternoon session, just like you can do in the regular invitations now. So does that answer your question, Leslie? Yes, Marquise, the answer to your question, if you've reached out to them and they're not showing up, then you can mark that box right where Olivia is right now, declines to participate, just below where she has showing. It will not, Natasha, do you want to answer Leslie's question? Will it show?
If I remember correctly, it doesn't create an automatic case note, so you'd have to put in a case note.
Olivia, do you want to close whatever that is that's on your screen, and then just say re-invited? No, just right there on the Intake Activities. Put a case note in right there to say that you're re-inviting. And for those of you new decentralized offices, if you haven't already done this, you might want to include that with whatever you guys are doing to follow up with those offices as well.
And since we're talking about case notes, I think it's just a good opportunity to say that with the case notes, it's really a communication tool. You can use it to send messages to, the other, either the CBO, the DHS staff, or the individual, or just make it a case note, or you can send a message to Illinois WorkNet too, depending on where you are and where the person is along in the process. It'll give you the different options of who you can send the information to. And so I do want to say, thank you for being patient with, everybody on, learning the conciliation or understanding the conciliation process. So we're still working through that because we have a lot of new CBOs that are new to this whole process, and still trying to understand the terminology and the verbiage that we use in common. That DHS staff is very used to using, and I'm sure the CBOs are used to using their own terminology. So one of the things that when you do a case note, we'll say this to the CBOs too, is to just make sure that you're real clear on use everyday talk, I guess, and that just so until, we can get some of these people so we're speaking the same terminology. And I can't think of any specific examples right off the top of my head, but I know some of the CBOs are like, what? What are they talking about? I'm not 100% sure. And so anyway, if you can just kind of keep that in mind as you're doing that, and we'll try to do the same thing whenever we're talking about EPIC. Dee or Olivia, did you have anything else to add for the case note piece? Nope.
Williamson County, what does LO stand for? Local office. When a customer is sent a conciliation, you are wanting us to put in a case note when we set them for conciliation. My thought, Williamson County, is to put a case note into EPIC so that we know what your next step is going to be, because like Natasha and Olivia and I do not have access to the DHS system, so we don't know what's going on. That's the only way we can tell what you guys are doing. So, yes, we would appreciate a case note as well. Okay. Let's move on to the rest of our agenda. And let's talk about what makes a good referral.
Okay. One of the things that we've been working with is the CBO side, obviously, and the DHS side, and so we have been, there's been certain things that have come up, and so different people that, Anyway, we have different situations that have come up, and so we're trying to figure out ways to deal with them after they've already been to the CBO, and trying to make sure they go to the right training programs, or how can we best help them with reaching their goals. So one of the things that we reached out to two of the CBOs. We asked the other CBOs to provide any feedback, any suggestions on, what are they finding whenever the people are coming to their offices. What are some of the challenges that they're facing? What are what are some of the tips that they're using to help with putting these people in the right training programs, especially when they have the flexibility to move them through, to different training programs. And so we have Tina Studer with with Mantricon, and we have Tanya Anderson with CAPS. And so we've asked them to give us, just let us know a little bit about what's going on at their location with when they have some people coming into their offices. They have quite a few people that, they've had assigned to their location. And then, so the whole idea is that we wanted to get their feedback, and then we wanted to get your feedback and find, maybe some best practices, whether it's, resources that are available, or if it's maybe different types of interviewing type questions to help us make sure that these people get to the program that's best suited for them. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Tina for just a minute. Let me find her phone number real quick. And sorry about this. Let me look real quick. Here we go. I'm going to unmute you now, Tina. And then while Tina is speaking, Tanya, if you could, I'm not seeing your phone number in my list, so if you could put the last 4 digits of your phone number in the chat, then I can unmute you as well. So if you want to go ahead, you can go ahead.
Okay. All right. We have actually been seeing quite a wide variety of referrals, and we do have one of the main issues that we do have are people that are being referred with some major medical issues, more than just the normal slight disabilities. We do have some that are unable to pass drug screens. And they have told us, well, if we knew we were going to have to take a drug screen, we would not have participated. We have had some that suffer from seizures that have lost their driver's license. We have one particular customer that his fiance actually has to go work with him wherever he goes because he is physically unable because he may have a seizure. So anyway, we have medical issues, anything from post-traumatic stress, and a lot of times they will come in and think that, hey, I can do this, and I have every desire to work 40 hours a week. But through the assessment and doing their TABE assessment, after a couple of visits, they're like, you know what, I don't think I can do this. There are some that we have had to send back, and, we have asked them to get a medical release from their doctor. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes we never hear from them again.
So medical issues have been one of the big things that come up for us. Also another one, of course, is transportation. And I know that the transportation issues may be different down here in the South, but our transit service seemed to be a little unreliable. Even when we've called to try to set up appointments, they say, we can't guarantee that we can get them there on time, which is not necessarily a problem as far as coming to meet us for an appointment. But if we're going to put somebody in school or if we're going to be putting them in any kind of work training, obviously they're going to be expected to be there, at a certain time. So we did try to line up a cab at one time for one of our customers, and it was costing $60 a day to get him to his work experience program, which in turn was costing more than what he was even making. So that was another thing. And then we have gotten a few felonies with some violent crimes. We've had one with multiple theft. We've received some with, battery against police officers. So those people are also very hard to place. So right now, we are looking for additional resources to be able to help them as well. I did receive a referral this week of somebody that was referred for a personal care aide. And when he came into the office, I said, "Oh, so you're interested in nursing?" And he started laughing. He goes, "No, I'm not really interested in nursing at all. I just needed to pick something." So, we had to talk to him about, the importance of you really need to let us know. And come to find out he was interested in computers. So, which is not on our list at all for training programs. So this is just kind of an idea of some of the referrals that we're getting. And so does anybody have any questions for me?
I don't see anybody typing anything right now.
Okay.
So just so you know too, also, so as we would come through these conversations, with Tina and LaTanya and the other CBOs that had provided some suggestions, we're trying to brainstorm, different ways, because we know time is an issue because you don't have all day to spend with one person. So we do appreciate that. But I do, we do think it's helpful, to show both sides of it and to see, what are the common things and what are some easy fixes. So whenever I was talking to Tina about this, I'm like, well, what do you do? How did you find out that this person, they said out loud that they didn't have a violent felony? What did you do? Because we've been looking for different types of resources. We have Family Watchdog that's available, but that's only for sexual offenders, not for violent crimes. And so she said that, well, we have this judici.com, and it's not something that's across the entire state, but it is over a large portion of downstate, so it could help in those situations. So the idea is I want you to know that we're trying to find other resources that, that we could make available that are free and not time-consuming. That's another big thing, is not time-consuming. So I'm going to have anyway, I just wanted you to keep that in mind, that we're trying to think of different ways that, we can help with providing information that you needed. And like, for example, when Tina had said that, well, this person doesn't want to go into healthcare, they wanted to go into something else, some of the things that we had talked about is that, maybe providing, better, more information on the CBO training program profile. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute LaTanya, and she can tell you some of the things that they do, and then we're going to have some polling questions. So you can let us know about the different resources that we talk about if you think they'll be helpful. And then we want to get your feedback on additional information that you may need to find in the CBO training profile, program profile, so we can send that back to our CBOs and say, this is the information that the DHS caseworkers need in that profile. And we'll talk about different types of interviewing questions and get your feedback on what's worked for you. But I just wanted to kind of give you that lead in so that, you can kind of think about that as LaTanya is speaking. So let me go ahead and unmute Ms. Anderson. So there you go. You're unmuted.
Okay, good morning, everyone. First, thank you all for the referrals that we have received. That really helps a lot. Some of the challenges that we have seen as Epic customers come through the door, a lot of them are not sure why they're actually referred to the program. And as Tina was saying earlier, they come through the program for one vocational training. And in some cases, we have seen clients that have already been certified, or they're not sure what their options are. So what we've been doing to address that is having one-on-one assessments with them at their initial appointment to kind of walk them through exactly what vocational training they're interested in enrolling in, so that we can make sure that they actually complete the training and that they, have a positive exit. What we were talking about yesterday, and I suggest if when making those referrals, if we can all work together to narrow down exactly what field the customer would like to get into, that would help a lot in making sure that they understand the commitment process as far as how many miles, because that's been an issue getting back and forth as far as the length of time for the training program, making sure they understand that it's a 7 or 8 week or even more program, and they may have to travel so many miles to get to the CBO provider. A lot of them have been complaining, I don't want to go that far, and I know that is one of the spots that's checked when they enroll in Epic. You may have to travel 15 or 20 miles, but making sure the client truly understands what 15 or 20 miles actually look like before they get here, because that's been a concern as well. The distance, what else? The screening process is one of the main things, clarifying your schedules for, because I've heard them say, oh, just pick one as well, and I heard that earlier. Making sure they know if you are truly interested in janitorial, what steps are necessary from the beginning all the way through the end. We're here to work with you. We're working together with each other to make sure that you earn this certification so that you can become self-sufficient. So we talked about it yesterday, and one of the questions came up, maybe asking the client your dream job. And once they answer that question, stick to those plans. Come up with a plan and make sure they're committed and willing to stick to it.
Williamson County made a comment here that says, we work with Tina and communicate weekly about the program and so on. Unfortunately, people are going to lie. We stress step 3, and there's a good point to stress, and that it starts with interest in the training programs that they review. If they aren't interested, then that is their time to opt out, and I totally agree with that. That's why it's very important for them to do step 2 to find out what their interests are if they don't know, and then do step 3 and actually do the program review. That's where adding some information to the training programs will be beneficial for both the CBOs and for DHS. But if they don't find anything that they like in step 3 that's available to them before they take the time to do the application, that is a really good screening tool right there.
Right, and so some of this is like old news for you because you have been using this for quite a while, but we do have quite a bit of new people, so we want to make sure we cover this as well. One of the handouts that they get at the orientation, or their main handout that has their username and password, they're asked to complete and write things out for step 2 and for step 3. So they have that information. They should have it at their fingertips whenever they go to the eligibility review piece. If for whatever reason they didn't write that information on there, I'm in test here. So they probably won't have anything, or they won't have anything. But one of the things I wanted to point out to you is in step 2, they complete that career and interest inventory. And so if you click, I'm sorry, I hit the wrong thing. If I click on assessments, then it'll say view skills and interests right here. Again, I'm in test, so it doesn't say it there. But if you click on view skills and interests, you can see the saved results from their assessment. But, for time's sake, it'd be nice if they make sure they completed this handout and wrote down the items, because then you could see, oh, well, these are the areas that are from your career cluster inventory, and these are the items in step 3 that you looked at that said you thought you would be interested in them, and then you can go from there. Some people have very limited choices whenever they get to the eligibility review. Some people have a lot of choices when they get to the eligibility review. One of the things that I mentioned before that we do have the resource here, Family Watchdog. So I'm going to click on a training program. So if you see that for this one, background check, must not have a felony, misdemeanor, conviction, or for sexual assault, then that would be one that we would ask that you just do a quick lookup in Family Watchdog, and then you can see if they're lying about it. Because unfortunately, I get it, and they probably don't want to be forthcoming with that information, but they really do. We really need to know, because we don't want to put them in a training program where they can't get a job. The other item that we were going to add up to this list is the judici.com, and that one is available again across most of downstate, and that way you can see if they're lying about having a violent felony. So I would, not that you have to do that for everybody, but if the training program that they're interested in says that you can't have a violent felony or you can't have, a sexual assault, anything on your record with those two things, at least we can narrow those people down before they ever get to the CBO.
And just to reiterate Natasha's point, Judici is not available in Cook County.
Right. And it's not to say that, we don't want to help people that have felonies, because there are jobs that are and training programs that are available to those people that do have felonies. We just want to make sure that we don't direct them towards one where they can't have one. So those are some of the tools that we have in the EPIC tools already. One of the things that excuse me, that came up specifically is, if you could start your dream job tomorrow, what would it be? And so we can look at, they could, kind of work through some of those things, like, well, we have this, if you wanted to be in nursing, we could, start you out with a CNA. There's a career path, and this one is not on here. But in production, they do have a link to the career information, so you could see the. Thank you. So you could see, if you wanted to go to career information, I know that takes can take more time, but it is, the information is available, if you do have the time. One of the other big ones that I know that you're already covering would be, the length of the training. That was the question number 2, are you willing to commit to this much time for training? And some of the things that have come up that, like, well, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, when they get to the CBOs, some of the things that we've heard feedback on, they'll say, well, I don't really want training, I just want a job. And so one of the things that we've talked about is, updating this training program description so that it says that, more information about work experience. Like, you'd go for the training for 3 weeks, and then you would have work experience, or you have to earn the certificate and then you can have work experience. In some of the other cases, you start out with work experience and go into training. Since that's different for each one, just to better clarify that information in the description.
Also in step 3 on the public site, they can view the career information as well. So if they pick their different career choices, it has the career information right there. So if they're actually taking the time, if they're gung-ho, if they're ready to go, ready to move on, then they can find all of this information before they ever sit down with you. Jose, I was going to ask you guys that. Does anybody know of a resource for people who are have felonies in Cook County? I do know that you can go to the Illinois Department of Corrections and see who's currently serving, but that's not available for people that have past convictions that are not currently in the system. I don't know if Cook County Jail has a record of things. There is the Illinois State Police has a service, but it costs $10 to $15 per person to do background checks. So it's possible that if this moves forward, we may be able to have DHS work out a deal with the Illinois State Police about doing something like that. So if anybody knows of a resource that's available, please type that into one of these chat pods that we have opening up.
Yes. Yeah. So suggesting a provider that doesn't require a background check would be an option. And so again, you can use the way they would do that. You would choose the options that, I am listed as a sexual offender, I have violent felony conviction, I have a nonviolent. So if you list these options, it's going to narrow down the results to just show you the training programs that don't
require a background check.
That don't require a background check.
We're also going to try to work with some of the providers to offer something specifically. We've got that in the works. We just haven't got it going yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did that really. I was just showing, sorry, I'll open these up again, but I went to step 3 and under find programs that work with your circumstances, you can put in all of these items and it'll just give you the results for the people for the specific programs that don't require a background check or that can work with those circumstances.
And there's not as many. There definitely is not as many.
And we know that, areas are, really being forthcoming with this information and saying that it's, and explaining why it's really important to be honest with this information. But, you still get some people that don't want to share that.
So if you could answer our polling questions. And then one of the resources that I noticed that at 59th Street, when everything was still there, they would review the 4538. And if you're not already using that form or that list of potential exemptions for your customers, especially if you're in a mandatory area, you may want to work with that. And if you haven't ever seen it, we do have it in the file pod below, and this is what the document looks like. So if you want to take a look at that. It says SNAP Employment and Training Brochure. And on the inside page, it shows you a list of the things that people would be considered exempt. So we always want to stress that. And even if you schedule somebody and they look like they're an able-bodied adult, things can change in those 10 days between the time you schedule them and the time that you actually see them. So Olivia just posted a whole lot of information in there.
That's
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So Kelsey from National Able reached out to me yesterday and just wanted me to provide you guys with her phone number and email address. And she also sent me a couple of links for one of their training programs. It's the CCNA. Not a lot of people are very familiar with what a CCNA does. They work with routers and making routers communicate with each other. But it's good information that you can use for your customers if they come in and they're interested in like the IT field, but not really sure which area. They more than likely will not know what a CCNA is. But she just wanted me to let everybody in Region 1 know that if you have a question any time of day, feel free to give her a call or email, and she would be more than happy to help answer that so they can make sure they're getting good referrals and that are really interested in this program, because their IT program is pretty intense.
All right, so just so that you guys know, what information are you not seeing in the CBO training program that would be beneficial to help your customers make a good decision? That's the second pod that we have there that Natasha wrote down. And then what are the go-to interview questions that we could ask? So the 3 quick interview questions. I see that Marianne asked a question, what kind of work have you done in the past? What would you do if you could start your dream job tomorrow? What would it be? How much time are you willing to commit to improve your future? Those are quick questions.
And then also, I just want to give you also the opportunity, like, are we, what are other questions are there questions or things that you want to put out there that we're not asking the right questions to get the information? Because really what we want to do, is to be able to give you the tools or, to do things quickly, because we know time is an issue. And, if it's not with updating the training program profile and it's something different, feel free to enter that information. What we're trying to do is go through the tools that we already have available and see how we can improve them to help you, with the referral process. Are there things that we need to know more about your customers, because we're not asking the right questions, or?
I think everybody fell asleep, Natasha. It's because our voices are so soothing. So now that woke them up because there's a All right. Let's see what we get out of this. Nothing. Nothing.
Oh, they're still typing. Or you guys are chit-chatting between each other.
All right. Well, we've got, let's see here. We've got
Okay, we have some, hold on.
Okay, here we go. We have a number of non-English speaking customers in special units. Are their jobs particularly directed to this community? One of the things, we do have one provider that is dealing with English as a second language specifically, so we would make the referral to them first and then refer them to a career training program. So if that's the case, then is it Asian Human Services that, Natasha, that's doing the ESL?
I think so. Let me go to production.
And then Crystal says 70% of our clients have barriers that no one wants to deal with. I thought EPIC was supposed to be there to close that gap. Yes and no, Crystal. This is a study, and with the study, they're trying to find out what those gaps are so that we can work moving forward to provide specific services. And so not right now is that the 100% of the case, but we do hope that it is moving forward. So hopefully that answered your question, Crystal. And Marianne says, yes, it's Asian Human Services. You can make the referral to them, especially if they're ESL. Or if they have
right. And so I'd like to know a little bit more about the barriers specifically, because we do have some, I know that the felony is one. We do have some, and I don't know, maybe, Tina and LaTanya, you guys can speak to this more as far as, working with individuals that would have a low reading or math score, because many of them are have remediation in place. Some places don't. Some places have a really low threshold for, what they would accept in to begin with. But I would say the majority of them do have some type of bridge or remediation program. So that's one of them that they're dealing with. I think the medical issues kind of have been, at least for some people, a rather large barrier, and I know that they are working with them on some of for some of those individuals. So in some of the cases, the barrier, obviously if you're exempt, you are still welcome to participate in the program. That's not the problem. And whenever possible, we're trying to provide them in either a work environment or in a training program and make any special accommodations that need to be made for that individual. In some cases, when the individual has medical issues that are so severe that they are working with them, and it's still, I think it would still should be considered like some kind of positive outcome, because they're working with them to either get them on is it SSDI, some type of assistance that can help them because they just aren't capable of completing the training program. So that's several barriers that I know that they're dealing with or working through. Another huge one for outside of Chicago, and maybe even in Chicago, but transportation is a huge one, and that is just an ongoing challenge for years. But I know that in the people I spoke with in Region 5, they're trying to come up with some innovative ways to help take care of that. So we'll see what comes out of that, because of course there's different liability and different things that are around that piece, but hopefully they can get that worked out. So if there's other items that I didn't mention. I know some people have drug issues, but I know that they're making referrals to help them with becoming drug-free. And, you know, again, they have to be drug-free for certain occupations, and there are just certain things that are non-negotiable.
Natasha, Jessica asked if there was a listing available of career opportunities. I know that you can get them from step 3, but could we create some sort of a report for the DHS caseworkers that is a manageable report that they could have at their desks?
Yeah, it would be by region, because...
Right. That would make sense.
Right.
The other option that I'm thinking is print the screen for each of the program descriptions. And have it in a binder, but that's cumbersome.
Yeah, we can. I mean, we can provide the printed versions. Just know that the information that is here is where the information is going to be maintained. So whenever we do things like talk to our CBOs about asking them to update the program description, you know, this is what would be maintained, not the print version. And, you know, it's just at your fingertips. So, but yeah, we can give a print version. Just know that we're not going to maintain the print version. We can make it available, but especially when we get towards the end of the program, if those spots have been filled, then, you know, that position may not be available.
But they could always, by doing the eligibility review, they could always kind of keep track of that as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes. So if the program is no longer available, then it won't show up as a match for a recommended training program if all the spots have been consumed.
All right. I don't see anybody else typing anything, so I think that's enough information for one day. What about you, Natasha, Olivia?
I think that's good.
Yep, I was going to say if there's anything Tina or LaTanya had anything to say before we got off with everything. Make sure I still have you guys all muted. Yep, okay.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. Everybody have a...
Oh, shit, no, wait, one more thing.
have a great...
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Aurelie, just a cut up. All right. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Thank you.